Hello everyone, I just wanted to start a video thanking you for 500 subscribers. Pretty cool. Made quite a lot when I started doing all the more Kombat deception videos once I got that mod working, and although I'm not playing it all day every day anymore, I'm still trying to do a video on it a day, or just get a video out in general per day at the moment, because now I'm at 500 subscribers. That's enough subscribers to get monetized, and the watch hours from the UMKD stuff, if I just do consistent videos, I will get enough to be monetized, which I I will make fuck all money, but I'll get like I don't know the exact amount you get. I know gaming channels get less, but I'll get some pocket change, and that's pretty fucking cool. I like doing the videos, so I might as well if I have time. And I apologize if this comes well after I hit 500 subscribers, because there's a lot to yap on about in this video, and I'll probably have to break it up into separate recordings. But I figured this was a good idea to do for 500 subscribers, a big commentary video that requires minimal editing, but also that plays into my favour because I don't do much editing. I just yap on about opinion stuff, and this is a prime video idea for it. And it's not my video idea. It comes from this channel. I haven't actually watched it. I saw a Go person recommended, and I already had this like idea of I want to talk about every character in some way. I was like, okay, that's an excuse to do it. So yeah, I'll just credit this video before I get called an idea thief, which I am, but I'm honest. Well, I think it's the first video idea I've taken before, I think. I mean, I know I do arcade playthroughs, but that's just fucking common sense. So yeah, anyway, thanks for the subs. Moving on to the video idea, where I'm basically giving a change, or changes by extension, to a character, or just something to expand on him, to make him better. Which I think is interesting for me to do it, because I've wrote a fanfic, I'm still writing it. Been going on for fucking years. MK Reborn. It's a hard reboot, so I know, setting up all these characters and doing interesting stuff with them and improving them essentially, or trying to at least. I'll probably put that fanfic in the description, I guess. It's still going. I'm even rewriting or just like polishing up on older chapters at the moment, because I started writing it when I was fucking 14. It's been many years writing it. So yeah, onto the video. We'll just go in a rough order of games, I suppose. So I'll start with Raiden here, and the idea is make Dark Raiden actually competent. I think I didn't want to do anything like Raiden, because he's pretty much fine, right? Like when he's done well, it's perfectly fine. There's nothing to really add. I even think NRS God Raiden is also good for the most part. Some exceptions, but he's very serviceable, right? But Dark Raiden fucking sucks in like everything past Deception, and the only reason he gets a pass in Deception is because he doesn't actually really start to do much. So that's the only reason I don't really have much criticism of him there. Because Dark Raiden is such a fucking rad idea, right? Everyone loves it, even NRS want to do it, even though it's a 3D era idea, and they fucking hated the 3D era. Not anymore. And even then, like, with Human Raiden, they're trying to set up Dark Raiden stuff with him, which I think is dumb, because he'll just be like a fucking brat if they do that with Human Raiden. It wouldn't work with that type of character. But, God Raiden, Dark Raiden, it works. As obviously this more just violent version of the character. I mean, not even violent necessarily, just strict, very strict. Don't fuck with Earthrealm, right? And there's so much potential in that, and it's basically not been fulfilled at all in both timelines. Because the Armageddon is when you start to see him actually take action. Like Deception, he resurrects Liu Kang, and even that's kind of a fuck up because he can't control him. So Liu Kang sort of just starts killing innocents, which goes against its point. And even in Liu Kang's ending, he basically merges Ghost Liu Kang and Zombie Liu Kang back to the same body, which becomes a non-canon ending because Armageddon is kind of dumb. Armageddon Raiden is a complete moron. There's good ideas, right? But he allies with, the Force of Darkness. Even though in the intro he's on the Force of the Light. Again, inconsistent. It doesn't make much sense. But he's has a whole bio and stuff. And that's probably why he's on the Force of the Light, even though Conquest also has him on the bad side, but like I guess he switches after Taven beats him. It's such a mess to explain what he's trying to do. He fights Taven when there's no one watching. He could have just let Taven pass, right? Because he's meant to be essentially acting as Shinnok's ally to spy on the other four big bads like Shao Kahn and Naga and whatnot, figure out their plan and stuff. But he attacks Taven and stuff. It doesn't make sense. It's just a rough story role, and I mean basically everyone in Armageddon has a rough story role with the exception of the Sons of Argus, and that doesn't even count Rain. I don't even know why he established that for Rain in a game that wasn't going to focus on him at all. But the Armageddon bio for Raiden is fucking rad though. I'd read it. They don't follow up on it well, but it is cool. It's got sick dialogue from him. Like Dark Rain was an awesome character. He just wasn't used well or at all in the case of NRS, where you fucking build him up to be this big thing in MK1, and he goes away after chapter 1. I think that's self-explanatory why he was wasted there. But yeah, I just do more with him. Like if you're gonna establish him, you've got to sort of stick to it. I quite like as well the MKX idea of the Jinsei. He absorbs the corrupted energy and that. So there's a Dark Raiden. I think it should be a more gradual thing because you can sort of build a Dark Raiden. In my writing, you have the MK4 section, which uses the Jinsei pot device, and he absorbs it like MKX. But instead, I do the time jump after MK4, which is a Deadly Light storyline afterwards, but it has MKX next generation characters, right? And he, over the years, he's just slowly been corrupted by it. So as more shit goes down, he just becomes more and more just insane. And I think that's an interesting thing to do. Like this, I'm not suggesting a specific idea. I just think there's a lot of cool shit you can do with Dark Raiden, and they've done basically nothing. They've had a fantastic setup in Deception and even Armageddon, and nothing after. It's a shame. Liu Kang, I just reduce his focus after the tournaments, and even it could just be tournament singular. Like he has to win the MK1 tournament, right, at Shang Tsung's Island, in a normal story, right, which I think I should have clarified. This is sort of general ideas. It's not focused on a specific timeline. Like, I'm not going to talk about the New Era stuff because I don't care about the New Era for the most part, like narratively. Because if I did changes for specifically the New Era versions, my change would just be revert them back to their older and cooler selves, except for Reiko. And I'll get to Reiko. But yeah, Liu Kang, it happened in the original time where, he's just the main protagonist. He beats the villain in every game. And it just got repetitive. And people got tired. And their alliance made the really bold choice to kill him off, and I still think to this day that was the best narrative decision the franchise has ever made. And even arguing NRS, when Liu Kang is dead, the story gets better. There's more interesting focuses and stuff. So I don't want him to just fucking die in every timeline, or just die for the sake of killing him off. So I think the solution is just reduce his focus for a bit. If you're going to do a day and night storyline, then definitely kill him off. I think that's a significant part of establishing that duo. But I mean, again, I'm using my fanfic Reborn as an example. He wins the first two tournaments, which, if I was writing it now, I'd probably even have Kung Lao win the second tournament. He doesn't actually need that second tournament win at all. But like MK3, it shouldn't really focus on him because this is sort of like, Shao Kahn's invasion. It's basically his last stand. His whole army's going to collapse. All the Khan cards going to fall out either during or after it. So the focus should really be on characters like Katana, Sindao, and less so Liu Kang, because he sort of already had that. And you're looking at a guy who has had beef with Shao Kahn very briefly, compared to all basically Shao Kahn's slaves in Outworld who have been fucked over for thousands of years, right? And so I think they should have more of a focus. I mean, I don't think there should be a very specific protagonist after the tournaments. The tournaments, there has to be one because you're doing 1v1 fights, right? So it just defaults whoever the tournament winner is going to be. That is going to be your main character during those storylines. But after that, you can get more lenient. You could just have anyone be the focus. And MK does often do that, right? Like MK12, it's the Liu Kang game, but he's not necessarily the focus, and I like that. They have acts that focus on different characters. The champ system's still kind of dog shit. Not kind of, it just is dog shit. But the general idea of there's not one protagonist, one main character, I like that. And there's other games where you have characters, like, say, Cassie. Cassie's considered the main character in KX. I'd say it's just the Kombat kids as a whole, because they get equal screen time, pretty much. It's just Cassie happens to have the last chapter, therefore she defeats the final boss. And that's the only reason she's seen as a main character over the other three, when they all actually get the same narrative focus. So that's usually what it comes down to. And I mean, in the classic games, it's that as well, anyway, because there's not like a cinematic story. It's just everyone gets the same amount of bios, one, and everyone gets an ending, right? So, yeah, I just think the end of the story, right, I think reduces focus, because, I mean, even with like MK4 stuff, it really should be like Raiden and Fujin versus Shinnok as the last thing. Or if you want to throw Setron in, Setron and Shinnok have a ton of untapped potential. I'll talk about that when we get to the very end of Setron. But yeah, there's just not really a need to make Liu Kang the focus afterwards. And he just gets tiresome, because I don't want to call him generic, but he is like your bog standard babyface, right? And that works. And I'm cool with that. You don't need him to really be more than that. It's a nice character. But you force him into prominence every single game, then people get tired of him. It happened before. It will happen again if they keep fucking shoving Fire-God Liu Kang down our throats. I'm surprised it hasn't happened already, because I really hate that character. But that is an unrelated tangent. Moving on. Johnny Cage, and they sometimes do this anyway, but just take things more seriously. And I mean that in a few ways. I mean, firstly, with how many fucking alternate universe or reboots we've had where we have to see him go on the same boring arc, and it's not boring, it's a good arc. But I've seen it so many times where Johnny's just being a dickhead for most of the timeline, but he might get the arc if the storyline goes on long enough, or he gets progression by the end of the movie or whatever, right? It happens in the Legends films, MK9. We kind of had MK12. MK12, I am, surprisingly impressed with that take on Johnny, because I think it's very good. It's very nuanced, right? Because you have a younger Johnny Cage, and sure, he's immature. He got divorced because he keeps he has no concept of savings. He might be an alcoholic. He has flaws and shit still. But he knows when to take things seriously. Fucking Fate of the Realms and whatnot. I mean, he's just learned about this stuff, but he knows it's real. He knows it's serious. stop having just crack jokes all the time and shit, you know? Have him be actually emotional about this stuff. I'm not saying make him this stoic, serious character, absolutely not. But you gotta know a time. And I mean, I've used MK12 for an example where they actually do this well. But I've seen the trailer to the story expansion. He makes a fucking Game of Thrones reference after a bunch of monks and Shirayu, I presume, after they all just got stabbed up. And he just makes a fucking red wedding joke. Like, why? What the fuck? MK11 does it as well, when Garrus kills a bunch of soldiers and then he cracks a joke. You just saw a group of people fucking die. You just saw Garrus just squish a man's head like a little football, just squish it, and your reaction is, oh, who's a guest villain? Like, shut up, Johnny. So, yeah, I kind of want him to stop being fucking annoying. Maybe that's why I should have just labelled it. Just stop being fucking annoying, Johnny. Please. Because, I mean, the comedy's subjective, right? I think when he's just fucking gooning over people, I think that's objectively bad. But, like, the other stuff, I guess it's subjective. His jokes don't really do it for me, but I'm not a fucking movie head, so I guess it's not for me. Like obviously, should be silly guy, but yeah, just take it seriously. In certain scenes, and just in terms of the general character development, I think it should progress a bit quicker. Like, I don't think you need a whole 20 years from the serious up, because you have, like, the invasion of Earthrealm. He should learn what shit's going down at the MK1 tournament, right? He should learn it, like, in his first encounter. MK1 is a really dumb thing where he beats Baraka and Reptile and he doesn't know either of them are real fights. How does that make sense? How does that make sense? That is ridiculous power scaling. I don't see it brought up enough. That is such a fucking absurd way to start your new timeline. Johnny just beat two genuine outworld threats without knowing it was a legit fight. Like he was fucking working a wrestling match and he still beat him. Like, what? It's so dumb. So yeah, they do a lot of dumb stuff with this character, right? And he's a genuinely interesting character. And, you know, I really like Dad Johnny because you get him being more serious. So you get a deeper character who's not just cracking shitty jokes all the time. That's basically what I want. And they've done it. They do it a lot in the NRS games, and it's usually good. So yeah, just do more of that, I guess. So yeah. Sonya, I think a very easy fix for her to stay a nuanced character, especially going to have her be a mainstay or a semi-mainstay now, which I very much welcome her being reduced to a cameo in this game. Move on to fucking Kano. Holy shit. It's not even that interesting of a rivalry, right? Like there's this vague thing that Kano might have killed her partner, and that's sometimes a thing, sometimes it's not. And that is genuinely it. Like, I don't even think there's much of a point in making it like a personal beef between Kano and Sonya, because, you know, it should just be Sonya's doing a fucking job, right? It's just not that interesting, and they do it every game. You can't have any nuance, and they've set it up several times of Sonya moving on from Kano. MKX, her whole chapter ends with her letting Kano live, you know, thanks to Johnny's help. Again, great moment from both the characters. Kano gets imprisoned. Great, we can finally sideline Kano, who is such an unnecessary character, and move on to bigger and better things, like the Red Dragon. Fucking Deadly Alliance set this up too. The OIA get properly set up, and then you've got the Red Dragon, this major threat. Mavado's just debuted, and he's kicked Sonya's ass. He's kicked Jax's ass. He nearly fucking murdered Kenshi. After doing that, he then goes on to fucking yeet Kano off Quan Chi's fortress and imprison him, right? And he also left Cabal for dead in his backstory. Genuine threat of the clan. And that's before Dagon gets established as the proper head of the group. Do stuff with that instead. Like I think the Black Dragon stuff should be like a setup storyline, you know, like the Special Forces, that's sooner after the start of the timeline, of course. And I think, I guess this moves on into Kano. I mean, I have a separate heading for Kano, but another thing with Kano is he should be a failure. I think that should be part of the character. If you're going to make him a Black Dragon leader, another idea is make him a loner character. I'll get into that. But if you're going to make him a Black Dragon leader, he should be a failing one, right? Like this clan is struggling, and it was struggling in the original time, even though he wasn't actually a leader. You know, like there weren't many left. They had been shut down by the SF, right? And it's like it's because of Kano's leadership that they're fucking up, because he's not fit to lead. He's this fucking goofy asshole, and he's like gunning for the special forces when they should be trying to hide from him, right? And I think there's more interest there than trying to pretend that Kano's an effective villain. Like he is a jobber. I don't think you can really get around that, right? And that's fine. You can have a character like that, but they just sort of ignore it. They act like he's a threat. He shows up every game, fucking loses, but he'll show up in the next game just to lose again. And it's stupid. So yeah, have both the characters sort of move on. I mean, Kano, there's definitely stuff to do past Sonya for him, but I think he's just a less interesting character personally. But one thing I immediately drop with his characterization, drop the pervert shit, please. Like, it is gross. He's borderline a paedophile in the MKX comics, with what he says to Cassie, which I won't quote it, but it's there. And then you've got all the MK1 intro dialogue with him, like, just fucking gooning over every woman on the roster, and it's gross. And that is the point, sure. But it's just not fun. I like, what's the appeal there? I think there's so much more appeal in Kano being this fun Australian man character, which, by the way, having been played by an actual fucking Australian, they did that for the 2021 movie, and he's actually hilarious, and he carries the entire fucking film. Like, he is a very basic character, and it is very easy to get him right. There is not much you need to do with a character like Kano. There are not high expectations for Kano, right? Like, just focus on him with some, like, Australian humour, played by an actual Australian, so it comes across as fucking natural, right? Like the MK11 voice actor, good accent, right? But it's just not the same, right? it's not. And yeah, the main thing is drop the pervert shit. Like, it's just unnecessary. You can have him do so many more jokes besides that, right? It's just not needed. The other thing, right, making him a loner. So, a lot of his character is based on the 95 movie Kano, which I actually really don't like that portrayal of the character. I think it took away a lot of nuance the character would have ended up getting if they hadn't focused on that version, because he was Kano in, like, the comic stuff and even in the games, even though he has a very small role. There's sort of an interesting where he'll help the heroes and stuff, and they might have led to him being an anti-hero or whatever. Which, I mean, since they focus on 95 Kano, who's just a fucking gremlin, I don't want to see him be that, but I feel like if they had gone that original route, that probably would have been more interesting. And the 2021 movie Kano is kind of the same thing. He's rolling with the heroes, he's after Black Dragon, he's a loner. And it's genuinely good setup. Like, I'm so used to being the Black Dragon leader that I'm kind of fine with using that take, because I do it in my fanfic as well. But making him a loner or whatever, I think that there's just a greater avenue to do stuff, and especially thinking from an actual game standpoint, because there are so many Black Dragon characters, more than any other clan, with reps on that are playable, reps that are from other media. There's like 30 plus named characters. And we just see Kano all the time. So separating from the group means when you want to do a Black Dragon thing, you represent a different character, like Tremor. We had Tremor. Tremor has definitely surpassed Kano in popularity, so you might as well make Tremor the head of the clan now. Or have Tremor himself split off from the clan. There are options. There are options for these characters, and they won't explore them. And it's just daft. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff I changed his character, but I think the main thing was stop making him a nonce. Stop making him a pervert freak. I don't need it. Especially for a mainstay character. Do better. Scorpion, I've got two options for you, because I think either work, depending on how you want to take the character. Either have him actually move on from his family being killed and whatnot, or have him suffer consequences for his revenge tour shit. Right? So, move on. That's a simple explanation, right? Like, you do your time skip or whatever, and he's mellowed out, right? That was the MKX character arc. He's focused on rebuilding stuff. That's cool. You can have him actually kind of move on. I mean, it's hard, right? Like, especially Quan Chi's still going to be around, which he probably will be because he can't die, or stay dead rather, because he comes back in the Netherrealm. He can't be trapped in the Netherrealm because he has portal shit, right? And off Netherrealm logic, NRS logic, he could just portal anywhere now. The Netherrealm doesn't really drain him anymore. So that's kind of the reason why his MKX death is stupid, because he's not staying dead. He could just come back in like 10 seconds. But that's a side tangent. But yeah, like, have him, try and actually move on, right? Or, he fucking relapses, like in MKX. He sets up this whole shitty plan, spying on the Special Forces. Because how else does he know that Quan Chi's in Special Forces custody? He definitely has spies on his own allies, his own friends. And that's fucking weird. That alone is just strange. And then he takes advantage of that years later, years after, he finds out Quan Chi's the killer. This isn't like an impulsive thing. He has planned it out. He's gone 5 years. He's planted spies and shit to find this guy, right? Even on his own allies for some reason. I guess I'm going to think about that. But that's the only explanation that would justify why he's there. Why he knows that they captured Quan Chi. Because he has spies. And because Kenshi doesn't tell him, they sour chat, right? So that's shit enough. Then he goes in, fights the Special Forces, ties them up while he kills the guy. Which I think is a dumb plan anyway, but that doesn't matter. Quan Chi's seemingly the only way they can restore the Revenants, people who have suffered just like Hanzo. And he selfishly kills Quan Chi and gets rid of that completely. Leaving, Kuai Liang's actual best friend, Smoke, still as a Revenant, amongst many other heroes. And in MK11, it's never brought up. Him and Kuai Liang are just chummy. They're just best friends, right? They're fucking each other, and that's it. He suffers no consequence for, like, one of the most fucking fucked up acts. Genuine menace shit in MKX. And, narratively, that's kind of fine. I don't really like it. I know that's it's like the general take is that that's an awesome scene when he actually gets his revenge. I don't care for it because it's like everything I just mentioned, right? But yeah, if he had in MK11 suffered actual consequence from it, right, and had to fucking redeem himself again, that would have been much better than just, oh, hey, it's nice guy Hanzo. And I like that. I like that version of Hanzo. But that's not the character you were telling me, because in MKX, he just fucking betrayed everyone. And it's quite nice as besties for him. Even though his actual bestie, Smoke, is still rotting in the Netherrealm, thanks to Scorpion. Like, very simple. Whichever way you go, have him move on actually, right? Doesn't get his revenge. That's the cost. Or he gets his revenge and he's going to deal with the consequences of people he's fucked over to get to that point, right? And that's about it, I think. Moving on. Sub-Zero. This is supposed to be Kuai Liang. I talk about Bihan and Noob. Actually save everyone. So what I mean by this is his general storyline is, saving cyborgs or, saving his brother Noob, right? Or Frost, because I'm getting Frost. And Unchained Frost, right? Like, she's alive still, but she's, like, delirious. Killing people, getting hallucinations stuff. Like, she's not just, like, this villain in those games. She's genuinely unwell and needs help. And he never really actually gets to save anyone, even though that's constantly his goal in like every game. Until MK12, where he's just Scorpion now. Okay. And I think he should, because that's just, that's just natural storytelling. You set up this storyline and you fucking pay it off, and the payoff is him freeing Smoke from being cyberized and whatnot. He gets his free will back, doing it for Cyrax, which he's done for Cyrax twice, and both times Cyrax just unnecessarily killed himself after. I'll get to Cyrax in a bit. And like, yeah, you have he kind of saves Smoke, who's with the Force of Light, weirdly enough, in the intro. So I guess off screen he saved him, but there's no there's nothing in a story to say. That's just a visual thing to point out. I was like, oh, that's neat, but I got no story moment from it. I didn't get an ending about it. I didn't get a cutscene about it. Nothing. And then there's Frost, and that's a whole other thing, right? Because Frost is just treated as villain, and then Qui-Gon is just treated as, he was just a flawless mentor, right? And he did nothing wrong. It's just Frost being an asshole. Like, fuck off. If you're gonna do that, then the payoff should be, they reconcile. But they don't do that, and they don't seem to have actual plans to do it, especially not MK11. It's just, Frost is just evil Sub-Zero now. And it's just not interesting. It's just completely uninteresting. So, yeah, have him save everyone. Like, I don't have much to say about Qui-Gon, the character himself, because he's a likable guy. He's perfectly fine. His story roles are usually good, except MK11. It's just, you don't follow up on stuff you set up. Which is just a general MK problem, but it's especially a big one with Qui-Gon, because he never fulfills any of his tasks, it feels. He never gets to save, all these people. So yeah, do that. And I didn't even mention Noob. Yeah, Bihan. Save his brother, that's the biggest one. How that's not a payoff, I don't know. So I could have just said this for Noob or Frost, I could have just brought it up for them, but since I have less to bring up, so I figured I'd just group it all together, put it next to Sub-Zero here. So just pay off your storylines, NRS. And Midway. Both years. Next we have Goro, and what I changed, just make him 90s Goro again. This humble warrior who's reasonable, and he aligns with, Katana and Edenia and the Centaurs. He makes a truce with them. Him and Kung Lao makeup. MK4 Goro is so fucking peak. Awesome return for the character, because, he wasn't trilogy, but he was still, out of story. And then even between that, there's all the comics that are, focus on Goro. And he's not just this dumb brute villain. And then the 3D era comes, and I genuinely think this is the biggest fumble of the 3D era. They kill Goro off in Daylights. I don't know why, other than they just didn't have the technology for him, maybe, and they just didn't think they would. And then a couple years later, he's fucking back because they want a GameCube exclusive. And he's one of the most popular characters because it's Goro. And Goro in the 90s was a huge fucking deal. And then they just go, oh, he's evil now. He fucks over the Centaurs. And he just sides with Shao Kahn. Shao manipulated that to happen, but Goro still consciously decides to, fuck over all these people. He even, disrespects the dead, right? He basically marks the corpse of another Shogun on his own, even though, death seems to be a pretty sacred thing to the Shogun. He just becomes a piece of shit. It's so out of character. He's genuinely, MK11 Sindel levels of twist filler, in my opinion. It's set up to better, sure, but it is bad. And then it goes nowhere because Armageddon happens and no one gets a fucking storyline. And then you have have things reboot where Goro he exists in MK9. He has zero presence, even though he's a boss character in that game. He's just got no aura. And he does nothing. Him and Kentaro are losing a 2v1 against fucking Cyber Sub-Zero. That's stupid. And then there's MKX, where I actually quite like MKX Goro. I think he's pretty fucking rad. A lot of fun with the moveset, and his intro dialogues are generally good. Right, it's more the characterization I'd expect from Goro. Problem is, it's a non-canon appearance, because in actual canon, he's missing 3 of his arms because fucking Kotal cut him off. And they were going to follow up on it in a season 2 of the comics where he becomes the host for Onaga. Stupid. And now you've got MK12 where he's just like this silent assist grunt for Shao. And he might still be a prince. I don't fucking know. He doesn't come across like it. He doesn't even look like his old self. They completely changed how his model looks, of course. And also he just has a new design, which I like seeing Goro in armor. But that's not the point of the cameos, is it? Super weird. I need him in the next game. And Kitaro missed MK12 for God knows why. I need both of them in the next game. They are just in need of return. Kitaro because it's been so long. Goro because look at like Reptile and Baraka. Look at the treatment they got. Right? He needs something like that. And the solution is just make him like 90s Goro again. This major threat, this major presence who isn't just this fucking grunt. It is so simple. I genuinely think there is not a character with a bigger fall off than Goro. I mean, probably Shao now. Like, from like, I mean, MK9 is already a bit of a drop off because he's a lot dumber and he's just less entertaining, in my opinion. But then you've got MK11 where he's just fucking completely brain dead. Then you've got MK12 where he's not even Shao Kahn anymore. Like they intentionally made him less cool in MK12. So it's between those two. It's between him and Goro, whose character just fell off massively from how huge they were as characters in the 90s. And Shao, it kind of makes sense. You can't be this major villain all the time and for it to just stick. Like, I think he should be in way less games than he is now. Goro, however, you can absolutely keep him around as a semi-mainstay. Right? Like you are not limited there. It's just you fuck him over in every game. And it's a shame. It really is. Do better. Lastly, for the MK1 section, Shang Tsung. And I really like Shang Tsung as much as I say. I mean, like, nothing big at least. Like, I'd say chill out with the movie references, but MK12's kind of done that anyway. It feels like MK12 Shang Tsung sort of got his own identity back, instead of just being, a fucking 95 movie catchphrase generator. So I just like focus on extracurricular activities and his past. His past, I don't think you really need to explore much of, but there's a lot of interest there, and I think Conquest really highlights it. Shao Kahn manipulating. What about his family? How did he learn stuff? How's he learned soul magic from Shao Kahn? The whole tournament stuff, him becoming the host of the tournament. There is a lot there. You don't really have to explore any of it. But there is so much, and a lot of it's already been sort of fulfilled, but it's like bits and chunks of lore you get from him, mainly in old MK, and it would be nice to have just a story that sort of meshes it all into one. Because there's just so much you can do. So I definitely wanted to point that out. But also, by extracurricular activities, I mean all the shady shit he's got going on. I mean, there's the flesh pits. Again, MK12 does this quite a bit, but I want more, because he's got like this laboratory and he does all sorts of shit now, and it's the back rooms of the flesh pits. That's really cool. I really like the idea of him having like a laboratory for like a new flesh pits. I really dig that. But like 3D MK, he does so much stuff. There's so many stages tied to him. The dark prison, that belongs to him. He like keeps prisoners there to be like future tournament participants or just to feed on them. Like there is so much. Like he gets up to so much crazy shit. He has a house in Deadly Alliance. Like there are so many like just buildings, locations, things going on that are just related to Shang Tsung, and I want to just learn more about him. And just see what he gets up to instead of just doing the grand villain stuff. I want to do more stuff on the side. So again, he's just a character so much. He is a fantastic villain. He is so good. When he's good, he's so good. And like, I'm very glad we got new Shang Tsung. I mean, his backstory is such a nothing burger now. I mentioned like exploring his past. You can't do that in new era Shang Tsung because all his lore is now is, he's just a really lazy asshole who cons people. That's all his lore was. And there's already anything you can branch out there compared to old Shang Tsung, where he's got like a fucking curse to feed on souls by the elder gods, and he hosted this tournament. He fucks over like some Shaolin masters, and he Shao Kahn teaches him soul magic, and there's this fucking master guy, and he's got like past lovers and shit in Conquest. There is so much. And then New Era Shang Tsung is just, oh yeah, he's a con man. And that's it. The Borjang T guy. Oh, and I fucking love the Borjang T guy. Anyway, great villain. But there's just so much with the character that there's always more to kind of do with him, always more to sort of establish with him. And you don't need to. You really don't. But you can. So that's what I'm giving there. So that's going to do it for the MK1 section. I know the intro, I saw I like I cover every character in this video, but I just looked at the time. That was like 40 plus minutes. So I'm going to end the video on this. I'm going to end on the section, and I guess this is now a new series, because apparently I'm such a fucking nerd that I can't just say my one idea and move on to the next. I can just yap on about like these basic 9 characters for nearly an hour. So I imagine like covering other characters are going to take even longer. So yeah, we're gonna do this series then, where I won't be consistent doing more parts. I just kind of can't, because it just depends on my availability and when I can record and when I can, talk. But I'll keep doing it, because that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun, just fucking vomiting my thoughts out there. So yeah, that's going to do it for this video. I will continue it, of course, more UMKD stuff. Sure, there will be other random commentaries. I'm still waiting for the fucking Sector trailer. Where the fuck is it? Which, by the way, just a general thought on the Sector stuff in MK12. I like the missile launcher. I like Sector having a gun back. That's sick. So I'll end the video there. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you in the next one. Bye.